if you switch on the television, live TV pe, they're sitting and giving galis to the ruling party. They are saying all kinds of things unchecked by the anchor. It's going on live TV. So where is the media curb? I can't understand. As far as newspaper articles are concerned, just bring any newspaper today, and I'll show you at least 20 articles which are not, pro-government, which are anti-government. It's this thing that always complaining that, health services are terrible in our country, media is terrible in our country, no freedoms, no this, no that. In a way, it's good because it keeps check on everything. When you keep criticizing, the government sits up and notices. So those kind of things. But I don't see any curbs on the media more than any other time in our country. In fact, I feel that because there is so much of media, in which other country do you have hundreds of newspapers functioning still? Nowhere in the world. Newspapers are shutting down. So I think it's just media is very vibrant in India.
Yeah, it is. And yet, where you were sitting here, I interviewed Josie Joseph, who's an investigative journalist. And he was saying, nowadays journalists are growing up saying that extolling the government is journalism. It's not holding it accountable. And I don't know, when I was doing my communication studies way back in the day, I remember like 4-5 pillars hote hain na, that you owe the public, the truth, objectivity and all of that. And I do think, as a young person who's just seen things from the outside, I have no allegiance to any party, but I do think that it's sort of become more muddled, where extolling people in power is a quicker way to the top than, actively holding them accountable.
It could be. It could be that praise of the government is getting you, getting you airtime maybe, or getting you to be the prime anchor on a television channel. It depends on the channel. If a channel does too much of gaga all the time of the government, people will stop watching it. When people stop watching it, you yourself become useless to the people whom you're praising. Let me just randomly give you the example of, if I was to say a channel called Media Today, right? Media Today अगर सुबह से लेके शाम तक is saying Modi, 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 Yogi, 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 Amit Shah is so great, and Shivraj Chauhan is fabulous, and G20 is the next big thing to slice bread. If you go on talking like this, for some time maybe the government will like it.
Yeah.
They themselves say, यार ये तो over भक्त है, इसके पास नहीं जाएंगे. Now if that channel called Media something or the other does a conclave in Delhi and invites, they'll say, पर देखेगा कौन? They'll only ask, देखेगा कौन तुमको? Because who's going to watch you? If you're going to be just doing that, nobody's going to watch you. So channel owners, managers, they themselves know that they have to have a balance. If they don't have a balance, the very people whom they are sucking up to will have no respect for them. So somewhere that balance comes about. But in the whole thing of competition, and you have people who've lost their jobs, who don't have jobs anymore, sitting and saying, Godi media. So you go on demonizing somebody, or, demonizing is probably wrong word, but, pulling them down by giving them those tags. After some time, let me just take the name. Why should I be shy? Ravish goes on about Godi media, right? He goes on criticizing everybody. Or you have News Laundry, who every single episode of theirs, they're pulling down Arnab Goswami, Navika, all these people, right? And now they've taken off on Aaj Tak also, because at the conclave, somebody said something. So, okay. So you go on demonizing it. Tell me one thing, when Ravish was in NDTV, didn't NDTV get the same kind of access that today probably Arnab or Navika get?
They did.
They did. At that time, did you find Arnab was, of course, in NDTV, but then he moved down and he was... Did you see Aaj Tak or Rajat Sharma or the other channels which were there at that time, ZTV and all these anchors who were there in those channels, did they call NDTV Godi media? No, they didn't. They had access, they covered it. But when you take away the access, you get this whole bunch of bitter journalists who today don't have jobs. Not because they are, I shouldn't say that they are bad journalists, just their bitterness, continuous bitterness, has made them useless as journalists. People don't believe them because okay, fine, he has fabulous subscribers for his YouTube channel, but it's an ecosystem which is watching him. That's it.
Yeah.
Because he's constantly attacking the prime minister. So if you want to know what is wrong with the government, go in and watch that channel. But if you want some kind of a balance, that's not where you'll go.
Right.
And I don't have a problem with his journalism or what he's saying. Very good. You want to do just that. That is your niche. Do it. There is scope for all kinds of journalists in this world, in this country. But to label the others, I think, is extremely wrong, because you yourself were there at one point of time.
Right.
If you were not, if you were somewhere in middle and you didn't do that kind, sorry. And if he says that he wasn't, that's also wrong.
So why was his access taken away from them then?
So that's a whole big story of what happened with NDTV.
Yeah.
So when that got over, every NDTV journalist had access. It's not just do you think that they were the only journalists in those days? No. And I was working with them. I accepted it that they have access. They could go anywhere. I'll give you an example that we were in during Vajpayee's time. We had gone to Islamabad and we were covering the talks which were happening between the Indian Prime Minister and the Pakistani Prime Minister, and we didn't have those live views on, so it wasn't as if we could do a satellite. You couldn't do that. There were only two ways of sending your visuals, which was via PTV, which is the Pakistan television, or you went to the Indian government had its own uplinking thing. They had taken their own communication.
Right.
Thing. So you could do it like that. You could book a satellite or whatever. There was a complication. So obviously, PTV wasn't going to send Indian footage. Wasn't going to do that. Why would Pakistan do that, right? So how do you send it? So we had to book through VSNL, which was the Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited.
Satellite scene था कुछ.
उन्होंने वो अपने satellite equipment लेके गए थे.
Okay.
So they will do it. You have to book it with them. They would do it only after Prime Minister's coverage was over. And then they would beam ours. So it was very complicated and it was very expensive. So, this thought, should we send it via the Wagah border and, those kind of things. But NDTV, no problem at all. They took whatever they had shot, they took it to the Information and Broadcasting Minister's house, over which there was a satellite dish, and they could beam everything.
In the INB Minister of Pakistan?
Of Pakistan.
That's crazy.
That's the kind of access that NDTV had. You tell me today one channel in India which had that kind of access. Forget about access in India. They had access even in Pakistan. They had access in Washington, D.C. When we went to cover a prime ministerial visit in the White House, the NDTV correspondent did not have, I'm not going to say his or her, but did not have the credentials that were needed to go inside, because we had to register in advance, etc., etc. And the security said, no, you cannot go in. There were a bunch of 3 or 4 people.
And they have strict protocols, stricter than most countries, yeah.
Oh my God, the Secret Service will not allow even their Secretary of State to go in and their staff if they don't have their credentials inside the White House. You have to have all your IDs, everything checked, your bag screened. And obviously, because they've lost so many presidents. So we went in because we had our credentials. All of us had to go through that entire process. And we could go in. The NDTV person didn't have. Right? And she insisted that my OB van will go inside the White House. I want to do a satellite direct. And they were like, you don't even have credentials to go inside. No, the ambassador was called, the ambassador came in, and she did a live broadcast from there, from the lawns of the White House. That's the kind of access that NDTV got. And how did that happen? Because the ambassador was spoken to and it happened, right? Now you tell me, do you think that Arnab, Navika, Rahul Kanwal, Anjana Om Kashyap, any of them have that kind of access today? Do you think any of them can call an Amit Shah or a Modi and tell them, speak to Biden and allow my OB van inside? No. पहली बात तो they laugh her out here. Forget about talking to Biden. They'll laugh out Rahul Kamal to say कि तुम अपने आप करो ना. Why are you telling us? That's the media's work to do. If you have access to it.
So you're saying that a lot of journalists were put in their place.
Yes. The BJP doesn't exactly like the media much, and they don't make any bones about that, which is good. Okay, media and the journalists and politicians should not be friends. No, that's not we can be friendly, we can be civil. We should not be friends. No.